Let me give you my big overreaction for a Monday overreaction show. I haven't given you mine yet. And I don't know how much time we even need to spend on this. I'll just say what it is that I'm going to say. Quinn Ewers is going to decide Steve Sarkisian's fate as a football coach at Texas. Because while the 5-7 season doesn't matter a lot right this second, the next 2 years matter. And if Quinn Ewers is the player that everybody thinks he's going to be, as I think only the second, I rarely mention the 24/7 composite, but in the history of the 24/7 composite, only two quarterbacks were ever perfect scores, meaning they were the number one player in the country for all of the major services: Vince Young and Quinn Ewers. So weirdly, it's only happened twice, and Texas got both guys. Quinn Ewers is a great player. Steve Sarkisian's career in Austin takes off to the moon. If Quinn Ewers fails, if Quinn Ewers turns out to be Hudson Card, which, and I don't mean that negatively necessarily in the sense of like a total failure, but a guy that needs more than a season to be really good, I think that would be potentially the end of Steve Sarkisian. He is, for me, completely intertwined now with Quinn Ewers, and it will be Ewers that decides where this program goes from here. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful to Casey Thompson or Hudson Card, who I'm still super high on. Like, I still think Hudson Card has a chance to be a great player. I just don't think it's going to happen in Austin. I don't know how he gets another opportunity based on everything that's happened since September. There will be a lot of internal pressure from those viewing the program: Board of Regent members, big money donors, fans, players. Everybody's going to want to see Quinn Ewers play. It'll be interesting to see how Sarkisian manages a player who literally arrives only planning to be on campus 2 years. That's complicated. What if he's not ready? The elephant in the room with Quinn Ewers at Ohio State was that he was not ready. I haven't posted this over on orangebloods.com yet, and I will before maybe the day is over. But let me read you a little bit about what a source from Ohio State told me. I'm just going to read it to you, okay? This is from a Ohio State media member. Ewers was way behind the other quarterbacks and really was not doing a great job of fitting in. He came in with $1 million deal, and I think that isolated himself. Can't say for sure if the players isolated him or if it was his doing or a combo of both. Ewers was not picking up the offense, but I also think it was a case of the fact that the staff was too busy worrying about that year and they could not really go over to the foundation with Ewers. I just feel that it was an impossible situation because once he declared he was coming, the train was already in motion and Ewers was never going to get much of a shake. That won't be his situation in Austin.
It's the opposite.
But he still has to pick up the offense. He still has to adjust to the speed of the game. He hasn't played an actual game. By the time next season rolls around, it'll have been a couple of years since he played, which is weirdly kind of what Casey Thompson went through. And that didn't go completely off without a hitch. So, Ewers is thought to be special. If he is, this thing is about to get some real momentum, and Texas football for the rest of the decade has a chance to be something that it never was in the last decade. But it's a lot of pressure on a guy. And as much as I think some people would want to, I'm Mr. 5-star guy, and 75% of the times, 5-star quarterbacks end up being drafted NFL prospects. 75% of the time. But that still leaves 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 times that doesn't happen. And the guy that Ewers reminds me the most of, if I was really comparing him to a high school player, is former USC quarterback JT Daniels, who started as a freshman at USC, transfers, goes to Georgia, didn't start this year, hasn't quite completely gone off for him the way that everybody thought it would. Sometimes that happens. And the math says that Texas is in a great position. But the math also says maybe just remember to be slightly cautious. Remember, as we get going, moving towards the season, that a lot is going to be asked of Quinn Ewers immediately. And I don't know that it's fair, but it's real. This is not a school or a program that does fair very often. I don't know that what happened to either Casey Thompson or Hudson Card this season was fair, but what's fair ever got to do with anything in life? So I can't wait to see it. My expectations are that Quinn Ewers is going to be a fantastic college quarterback. He's got one of the best quarterback developers in the world working with him to get the best out of his talent. But there's no sure things in any of this, even if on paper he's the closest thing to a sure thing that we've ever seen.
I mean, you're right. So it's interesting. I was thinking about what you said. I mean, as far as like Ewers fitting in, there's a couple of things. One, and I think you would attest to this, elite athletes are sometimes complicated. Like they are this cookie cutter. They follow every path or beat of every drum. Elite athletes think differently. They act differently. They're complicated. Sometimes they're introverted. Sometimes they're very extroverted. Sometimes they are just, you know, and this is not the case of Quinn, but I know when in the NFL, those guys are assholes. They just are. But, you know, but that's not Quinn.
Aaron Rodgers isn't the most bubbly, huggable guy in the world.
No.
You take him on your team.
Yes, and I can go down the list of guys that I covered, like the Ndamukong Suh. I mean, like I can go down a list of guys who I'm just like, ooh, that was rough dealing with those guys, and rough in house. But so I feel like elite athletes are always complicated, and that often happens with elite coaches. I think what benefits Quinn a little bit from a learning perspective is being at home, being here at Texas, being in the place that he wants to be for sure, but being in a home environment, having someone down the road. I mean, again, he still is a young man for all his accolades. I mean, he still is 18 years old or something like that. So, you know, still being able to have your family close by to be able to come and visit you, I think will still help. You know, I still remembering he still is a young dude. And I still think he'll be given a lot of opportunities to succeed. I believe that, you know, we'll see how the reps in spring end up shaking out, and that will determine, you know, a lot of things. But I still think he'll be given every opportunity to succeed. He has all the tools in his toolbox. He's faster than people give him credit for. There will be a pressure that's associated with it, but he was viewed as the #1 recruit in the country for the longest period of time. So I think he should be okay with the pressure. He should be used to the pressure. You know, he will go into a quarterback battle here at Texas with some expecting him to emerge, but him having all the tools with his toolbox to be able to do that, you know. And again, we'll do more videos, Ketch. I don't want to get into too many things on it, but we'll talk about attrition will happen in that room. That'll probably clear out a little bit for him. And then, you know, it may end up being, you know, 2-man battle, 3-man battle at most, but it may, if it's, you know, Casey, Quinn, and Malik, or if it's Hudson, Quinn, and Malik, you know, at this point, if you're part of the Quinn camp or the Ewers camp, however you want to call it, you got to feel good about your chances. You got to feel pretty good that, you know, you didn't see anything from a quarterback last season that made you think to yourself, I can't come in here and win this job. Now, whether it happens or not, we'll see it. But you don't look at it and say, man, that's untouchable. Can't touch that, man. I for sure got a red shirt. You go into it like, man, I got that. I can take that. I can take Casey down. I can take Hudson down. Like, you'll be able to say that in your your mind frame. You could say Malik is a project. Like, I think there's a lot of ways for them to be confident. There'll be a lot of pressure, but it'll be exciting. And, you know, I don't know. I know the guy's special. You know, there'll be a lot of things that has to happen on campus. As long as he's comfortable and feels like this is his home and this is the place where he can thrive and excel rather, I think he'll be able to do that. And I don't know, Ketch. I won't make any predictions now, but in December, as we talk, I would not be surprised if he's the opening day starter. Like, I think he's that good.
Yeah, I'm with you. It also helps, even if he didn't get a lot of play. I mean, even if he wasn't getting all of the reps at Ohio State, and he wasn't, he's getting mostly scout team work with the Buckeyes, he still has played against college athletes. It does give him, in a hypothetical world where let's just say him and Malik Murphy were showing up, Malik had a senior season, so that helps. But Quinn Ewers has spent that time working against the best of the best in college football. He's been going up against Ohio State's defense and full of NFL players on a day in and day out basis. That has to help. And I also, real quick, last thing I would say, and then I'm quite content with wrapping up. The guy that he might profile after a little bit is Kyler Murray, in the sense that Kyler needed to find a second place in order for him to feel completely comfortable. The dynamics of why they transferred aren't the same. But if you think about Quinn going to Ohio State, that's a program that doesn't need a savior. All of those dudes have won a lot of games. They played for national championships. They've won tons of Big Ten championships. A guy coming in with a huge NIL deal and all of that like recruiting reputation, that might fall. That almost feels like the NFL when a rookie shows up and veterans, no matter how good the rookie is, kind of looks at him like you're just a rookie. And sometimes it takes, if you're either a rare guy or you got to wait until you're no longer a rookie before you kind of settle in. Texas is a different place. Xavier Worthy's literally been changing his avatar to Quinn Ewers because they want a quarterback messiah. You know, Bijan, all these players on campus, as much as they might like Hudson Card and Casey Thompson, they bent over backwards this weekend to make sure that Quinn Ewers would be comfortable, that he would feel how much he was wanted. He will arrive in a locker room that desperately wants him to be the guy that he's hyped to be. That might not have been the case at Ohio State. And I think that may be the thing that unlocks the talent of Quinn Ewers, to be loved, to be accepted, to feel like you're in the place where you need to be. Kyler Murray didn't have that at Texas A&M. Ironically, even though it was the school that his dad went to, he always felt like oil and water. And he goes to Oklahoma, and suddenly you weren't hearing he's a problem child, like the A&M people were suggesting, that the dad's a helicopter dad and, you know, he's a problem and the team doesn't like him. And then he goes to Oklahoma, a team that accepted him for who he was. And you get a guy who right now might be the NFL MVP of this season. I think Quinn Ewers being in a location where he's desperately wanted can make all the difference in the world. I mean, my God, I mean, you and I are adults. It's nice to work at a place where you're wanted, right? I mean, every day you go to work and it's like, well, the thing I know is Geoff Ketchum wants me at Orange Bloods. And I get to wake up every day and go, the one thing I know is Anwar loves working at Orange Bloods and we love doing the videos and we can show up on a Monday Overreaction show and like knock it out of the park because you're not worried about whether or not you're wanted or not. And I think that, you know, it's going to be a new lease on life for Quinn if those things at Ohio State were true, which is he just hadn't quite found his footing yet and was gone before he ever could. I don't know that that's going to be a problem at Texas because Texas so badly wants him that he can just be Quinn instead of some guy that he thinks the locker room wants. They want Quinn Ewers. They don't want some guy that fits a mold that somebody else has already set. So, you know, I'm
great point.
Incredibly optimistic about where this thing goes from here. And they're not done. And as Anwar Richardson and myself do videos for the rest of this week, all the way through signing day. In fact, on Wednesday, we will have a live 3-hour live signing day show. One of our first guests that we've absolutely locked in, Justice Finkley, will join the show. We are working on a number of other commitments in this class. We will have the breaking news. We will have analysis. You guys can ask questions. It'll be a great time. We're just getting started. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you better do that now. In the meantime, do us a solid, like this video, get the notifications, leave your comments in the comments section based on anything related to the content that we've talked about today, mostly Quinn Ewers, but a lot of recruiting discussion. Anwar and I will do this again tomorrow. Until next time, you guys be good to each other. Happy holidays and all that jazz. We'll talk to you soon. Later.